February 2014 meeting of Advisory Neighborhood Commission 6E. I'm Alexander M. Condro, the chair. This is a new venue for us. This is the first time that we've met as 6E outside of the Martha T. Daniel Shaw Library, so I wanted to point out a couple of items and also hear a few words of welcome from the branch manager for this facility. If you need to use the restrooms, you need to take the elevator downstairs, check in at the recreation center at the front desk, and then ask for directions to the bathroom. There are no bathrooms on this floor. The exit that you came in through would be the fire or emergency exit as well. As always, there's no smoking indoors in the District of Columbia. If you would all please silence or put on vibrate your cell phones, pagers, and other electronic devices so that we do not disrespect the presenters that will be speaking for us this evening. With those preliminaries, I would ask the Secretary of the Commission to call the roll.
6001.
Present.
2.
Here.
3.
Present.
4. 5. That would be me. 6. 7.
So we do have a quorum. Thank you very much. First order of business, I ask my colleagues to review the draft agenda that is before you. And I know there is one request for a change in order of the agenda. We've been asked to hear the update on the 7th and P Streets development by Valor Development because the presenter has urgent business elsewhere and has promised that it is extremely short. He said 30 seconds, so almost hold on to that. So any other suggested changes in terms of the agenda? If not, I would welcome a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Make so move.
Is there a second?
That's it.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. First order of business, as always, we ask for the representatives of the Metropolitan Police Department to brief us on crime activity and their initiatives in our jurisdiction. On the back of your agenda, and if you don't have an agenda, there are copies on the table in the rear of the room. There are crime stats for 1D and for 3D that are available. And I would ask the officers to use the microphone and to identify themselves and to proceed with the presentations.
Good afternoon. How are you? My name is James Bowler. I'm a sergeant with the Metropolitan Police Department's 3rd District. I'm assigned to the Vice Unit, and I'll explain that momentarily what that is before we turn it over to Sergeant Ehrlich to talk about crime stats and patrol issues. Currently, the 3rd District houses a Vice Unit that consists of myself as a sergeant and 16 officers. Commonly in the community, when you see us driving around, we're in the unmarked Crown Vics and the tan unmarked Impalas. And what do they call us in the neighborhood? The jump outs. Absolutely, the jump outs, right? Why? Inherently, we are always jumping out of vehicles, chasing people through your streets. Currently, our mission statement is this: guns, drugs, robberies, violent crime. My unit consists of 16 officers that on any given day you could see in uniform. You could see in plain clothes with police identifiers as myself. Or some days you may see them walking around such as yourself, in a suit, in sweatpants, jeans, you name it. We blend in undercover capacities to try to curb some of the crimes I spoke of. There are some times where we have violent crime outreach to the community where we will dress down an officer in a suit, make him appear as if he's drunk, and have him walk up and down some of the streets and try to get him robbed. Why? We use our officers as bait so that you guys don't become victims of robbers. That's one of the things in 308 that we've been combating since I've been at 3D for the last 4 or 5 years. It's just simply the robberies up and down the 7th Street corridor of PSA 308. Currently, what I'll do is I'll turn it over to my officer, Adam Johnston, who's just going to briefly touch on some of the vice-related activities that we've been conducting in PSA 308. Obviously, as a vice unit, we cover all the PSAs in 3D and are responsible for many different areas. But 308, being the low end of 3D, takes a lot of our attention on a daily basis. So I'll turn it over to Officer Johnson. He's also going to give you his email address and cell phone number. We ask you guys to be the ears and eyes of our vice unit. If you see something, simply say something. Call us up. Let us know. You don't have to give us your name, your information. It's helpful so we can call you back and let you know what we've done with that information. But if you see something that looks suspicious, whether it be suspicious vehicles hanging out in your parking lot, people conducting hand-to-hand drug transactions. How many people in here have ever seen in DC a hand-to-hand drug transaction? Yeah. I venture to say of the 5 people that raise their hands, probably 99% of you have seen a hand-to-hand drug transaction. Whether you recognize it as that, that's a different story, but I guarantee you've seen it. I see one at least once a day on my way into work, dressed like this in my personal vehicle. I mean, it's very out in the open. So nonetheless, I'll turn it over to Officer Johnson. It'll take 2 minutes of your time, and then we'll pass it over to Sergeant Early. Thank you.
How's everybody doing tonight? Once again, my name is Officer Adam Johnston. I'm with the 3rd District Vice Unit. Myself and roughly 15 other officers go to work every day, pretty much trying to curb the drug issues in the 3rd District. Like my sergeant said, we deal out with the 7th and O, 5th and O, New Jersey Avenue type corridor, it seems like most of the time in 308. 308, you guys have a lot of new development going on with the Giant, the rec center. I know we had a lot of complaints dealing with that summer's past. So right now we're mainly trying to curb those issues before summer gets here. It seems like summertime down in that area seems to get a little more hectic than it is now. So like my sergeant said, feel free to call us. My cell number is 717-515-2003. Call me anytime and we'll try to get somebody there as quick as possible. Also, my email is adam.johnston@dc.gov. Shoot me an email. Anything that looks suspicious or anything that you guys think is out of the ordinary, feel free to email. And
now, I'm going to ask him to provide those numbers and email addresses one more time. It doesn't seem like writing it down. Now, I ask you this, and I say it because of this. You can call 911. But it's going to go to a call taker sitting in some other place of the city that's going to take your information, your drug complaint about the guy who's doing a hand-to-hand, or the vehicle sitting outside you think is involved in drug activity, and then they're going to transfer that to a 911 dispatcher that dispatches to us. And then they're going to determine what the priority of that is amongst everything else that's going on, the shootings, the stabbings, the robberies. So eventually, she'll dispatch it over the 3rd District air, and if we're not busy and we're not in the middle of something, we'll take it from a patrolman. Otherwise, usually we'll get a patrolman, we'll ride through the block with their lights on, right? We'll look around, won't see anybody matching that description, and we'll leave. If you call him by cell phone or shoot me an email, that information is real time. We can deploy to the area. I can tell you last week, we locked up 2 people in LeDroit Park. We attended a LeDroit Park community meeting. We did exactly what we did here. The next day, we got a phone call from somebody right out of our roll call around 3 o'clock. Said, hey, I got 2 guys hanging out in an abandoned apartment. We were there within minutes. Called them in the apartment with a pistol on them. I can guarantee you, if we got that through the 911 dispatch, it would have been 30 minutes to 45 minutes to an hour later, and they would have been long gone. So that's why I say, if you're going to be our ears and eyes, we might as well take advantage of that and use real-time updates when it comes to criminal activity. So, one more time.
once again, Adam Johnston is my name. Cell is 717-515-2003. My email is simply my name, adam.johnston@dc.gov.
Can you spell your last name?
JOHNSTON. And like my sergeant said, we have a little more resources to our advantage rather than patrol. Most of the time they're busy with other things. It takes them a little time to get there, so we can usually set up pretty quickly and try to use some other resources as far as getting the job done.
Adam.Johnston@dc.gov. dc.gov. Now, the only thing I ask is don't call them at 4 o'clock in the morning to need a sober ride home. Okay. Other than that, we'll be glad to take any questions right now if you have in relation to vice complaints or drug activity. Yes, ma'am.
When is his shift?
When is his shift?
When is it?
If you ask me, I say 24 hours a day, he'll answer that email. But we typically will work evening hours, somewhere between 2 o'clock and 11 o'clock at night. I can tell you, though, when they work for me, they're answering an email 24 hours a day. And if we're not working, and we change our shifts very, very often, dependent, unfortunately, the drug dealers out there and the criminals don't work a perfect shift, so we have to change our course. We're moving around a lot, and we adapt. But if you email us, we can get that to somebody. We know people who are working that are in the field and get there a lot quicker than if it goes through the 911 system. Now, I'm not saying if somebody's in your front yard shooting a gun off, don't email him. Call 911, please, by all means. But if it's something that looks suspicious that might not render immediate action through sending somebody, a uniform patrol, and we might be able to curb it from our end in plain clothes, please, by all means, reach out to us. In addition to that, if you have any other comments, concerns you didn't want to share at this moment, please feel free to give him an email after this is over. You get home and you think about it, and we'll definitely follow up with you. All right, no other questions? All right, thank you for your time, guys.
There are a few seats up here in the front. Please feel free to have a seat, join us.
I'm Sergeant Richard Ehrlich of the 3rd District, DSA 308. The crime stats are on the back of your sheet. They're available to every member of the public. That same information is available to you from the MPD website, mpdc.dc.gov. If you go to statistics and mapping, you can follow it through. You can get all the crime stats like you see here. You can also get a map of all the offenses anywhere in the city, actually. But the single most driving crime we have right now in the PSA is theft from auto. They're going up. Part of it's because it's starting to be convention season, auto show and things like that. And the single biggest reason that we have theft from autos is that people leave stuff in their cars that people see. I left a bunch of brochures on the back about tips. Please, when people come to visit you, remind them that this is a city and they can't leave anything visible in their cars. More importantly, it's not just enough to not leave it visible, but what will very often happen, and we see this constantly, a car will pull up. Several people will get out of the car. A discussion will ensue. They'll then open the trunk of the car, take off their coats, put their bags and backpacks and stuff in the trunk of the car. Somebody will take a wallet out, somebody will take a cell phone out, somebody will put something back in. They'll close the trunk and they'll walk away and they'll think, oh, everything's in the trunk, nobody saw anything, nothing's going to happen. And when they come back, somebody has broken into their car and taken everything they put in the trunk. So please, if you're going somewhere and you need to do that, stop a few blocks away or do it before you leave. And this way you get out of the car and you walk away and you've left nothing. But that is our single biggest thing. We have a plan. We're working with the vice officers that you saw. They're actually helping us. We've developed a plan that we're working trying to catch people doing these things. It's very important that if your car does get broken into or you see somebody suspicious that you call 911 and either report their crime or report what you see. Theft from auto is a very fast crime. That window breaks very quickly. It's not nearly as noisy as you think it would be. And then once that person's sitting in the car, no one or very few people are going to think anything odd. That they're going to see that person sitting in the car sorting through the car. You're not going to think, oh, that's somebody who just broke into that car. You're going to think, hey, that's somebody in their car looking for their house keys or their chapstick or their money or something that fell out of their pocket. So please, it's very important that if you see anything suspicious like that, call 911. And if somebody does break into your car, please call the police and report it so we can document that. And that also helps us dedicate resources and also investigate these because these are a pattern crime. We did have a woman arrested not too far away from here. In the 30 days before she was arrested, there was 5 theft from autos in her immediate vicinity. Since she's been arrested, and it's been almost 2 months now, we've had 1. So it's very much territorial too. But I did leave a bunch of these on the back. Does anyone have any questions or concerns? Yes, sir.
As far as people who work in the area and employees who are inside of businesses during the day, is there anything in place to help as far as cars that are outside for an extended period of time? And I'm sorry, my name is Michael Moss. I'm the principal here at Walker Jones Education Campus. We've had, just in the past week, 2 car break-ins for 2 of my teachers. So anything that we can do.
The only thing, remind them that when they park, they should assume somebody's watching them, and they should be ready to take what they need out of their car and walk in, and not spend time around their car, because that's what draws attention to it. I mean, however much you think nobody's watching you, there's somebody watching. And it's just too much. And plus, they're at a disadvantage because they're going to see the same car every day. And the people who break into cars can look at the cars the same way I can, or a parking enforcement person can. You know where that car's registered. If it's a DC car, you know what area of the city it lives in by the parking permit sticker. So if they're coming from another part of the city, they go, oh wait, this isn't that zone, this is zone 6. We're not, this is, we're in 6, that sticker says 1, oh, they're gonna be there at 1. So you might just wanna tell them, try to park at a different location each day if you don't have a lot for them. And like I said, make sure they leave nothing out. We've had cars broken into and the only thing taken has been chewing gum. But people will break into a car literally for anything. And since we get very few, comparatively speaking, damage to cars, damage to cars as opposed to stolen autos, as opposed to things actually stolen out of them, that means people are leaving things out for people to steal. So and please, by all means, there's some of the brochures on the back table that have some additional tips.
Two other AAC meetings recently, there had schools that had similar break-ins, and what they had reported back were homeless people were breaking into the cars and sleeping there during the day. So perhaps it's something that you could consider maybe patrolling the schools and looking for.
That is possible. And which school, I did forget to ask, which school are you at?
Walker Hill Education.
That's actually 1 day, so I'm not able to actually do anything directly for you because New York Avenue, New Jersey Avenue are borders. 3 days, and I'll get in trouble if I send my officers over here. But you do need to reach out, and I'm sorry, I don't know which PSA it is, but you do need to contact the 1D commander and ask them to help you out, or the PSA lieutenant.
I would also advise you that even a phone charger cable plugged into the outlet, they think a phone is charging, so they'll break in for that as well, even though there's no phone inside the car.
Or they'll think you hid it under the seat. Any other questions from the?
Another one is question. We had a safety meeting today with 1D, and I went over a lot of that stuff with them. So they're aware of it, so they're on top of it, so I want that to know.
I'm sorry, I don't know which PSA it is in 1D, but if you look on the MPD home site, you can contact that lieutenant directly, and he or she will be able to have some of their officers pay attention. Like I have my officers patrolling the area around the kids' school.
Is that 102 now?
Yes, it is 102.
It is 102. It's been a while since I've worked in 1D. 102 used to be across from Gallaudet.
Right.
All right, well, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'm now going to ask Kathy Jenkins, our host here at the Northwest One Library, to make some very brief remarks of welcome and let us know about any upcoming programs that the community can avail itself of.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kathy Jenkins. I'm the manager of the Northwest One Library, and I would like to welcome all of you to our first ANC meeting and hope that in addition to coming to the meetings, you will also start using our library downstairs. And when you get a chance, please take a quick little tour maybe before you head out. And my children's librarian, Judith Oliver, would like to let you know about a few of the programs we have, especially for children.
I would also like to welcome you here to the Northwest One Library. You're in the Northwest One Library's meeting room. You can get to the meeting room without actually coming to the library. I would like to ask a nosy question. How many of you have been to this location for the very first time? Because we feel that a lot of people don't even know a library is here. How many of you knew a library was here? Oh, good, good, good. Okay. Being a children's librarian, I have children's story time every Wednesday morning, but we also, for the adults, have weekly yoga here. It actually, she knows. It will actually only be the second, third, and fourth Tuesdays of the month, and maybe a fifth if we have a fifth. They did have the first Tuesday, but now we're going to have the ANC meetings here on the first Tuesday. That's great because it gives us visibility. We have the Ladies' Night Book Club on the last Thursday of the month, or fourth Thursday of the month. And this month, the book is called The Family Business by Carl Weber. And really important, we have Tech Monday here every Monday from 3 to 5. We have Mr. Eric Reynolds teaching computer basic classes to seniors mostly, but anybody's welcome. And that's an important thing to know, that every Monday from 3 to 5, we have computer classes. And we also have the drop-in job seekers program every Wednesday from 1 to 2:30.
Story time? What's story time?
Story time we have for the 0 to 3-year-olds at 10 o'clock in the morning on every Wednesday, whether I'm here or not, somebody doesn't. And every Wednesday at 11 o'clock we do the older kids from 3 to 5. And then of course we welcome class visits. Thank you, Mr. Moss, for some of the classes coming from Walker Jones.
But thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you for
I see that we've been joined by Chief Ellery. We have on the agenda for some brief remarks, if you'd like to come forward.
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Usually these things are pretty easy to do. I'm excited to get out and rather quiet here lately. We're in the midst of an investigation, and if you have any questions about that, I have to tell you up front, it's nothing that I can discuss. What you may see in front of you is a handout, and for quite a while we were on a roll. From June to December of last year, we brought 30 brand new ambulances into the city. We reduced our paramedic vacancies considerably. I think we're down about 3 paramedic vacancies across the entire city. And we were on a roll. If you look at the numbers, our response times are down. Our arrival time is down. There's a lot of good stuff going on. However, all of that good stuff, all of that 6 months of success, obviously, can be negatively impacted by one event, and that's where we are right now. Like I said, normally these things are very easy. This is not easy, especially when it's somebody you know, but when it's anybody in our community, it makes it much more difficult to get out and speak in front of a group. However, we can't run from what happened. We're going to have to deal with what happened and deal with it quickly. So, having said that, if you don't mind, I'm going to run through this real quick. I know we're supposed to be making brief remarks. That ambulance on the first page, in the front of it, represents a whole new model for us. It's easy for our mechanics to work on. It's durable. It has 2 different types of air conditioning systems in it, one for the front and one for the back. Make sure that the folks in the summertime will not be suffering. It took us a long time to get to the right model for the city. In addition to that, the bottom right corner is a group of young men and women who are veterans who we hired as a response or in response to the president and the mayor's call to start looking for folks who've already served our country in the military. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I know I'm supposed to be making brief remarks, and we seem to have a very heady agenda. If you look at page 2, that is where your department does most of its work. Those columns represent the number of calls per month. The orange part represents the fire calls, and the blue part represents our EMS calls, which is why we have been focused so heavily on being able to provide proper and quick EMS coverage in the city. That's why we focus so much on buying 30 ambulances to the tune of $238,000 apiece. Ordinarily, you purchase 10 ambulances a year. Since 2011, we've purchased almost 60. I'm not going to insult the group by trying to walk you through all of these graphs, but if you look on page 4, we are a very data-driven department. We know that a lot of our call volume increases in the middle of the day between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. And we're focused on trying to provide better service during that time, which is why it was imperative that we increase the number of paramedics that we have. Page 5 illustrates actually our response in March to an event that occurred regarding a response, and our heavy focus on our response times, and the fact that we reduced our response times from 5 minutes down to 4 minutes. Again, coming off of this incident, this may not seem like a big deal, but believe me, out of 150,000 calls, this is a big deal. Move this department forward. I'm going to go all the way back, see if we can get out of this quickly. I ask you to turn to page 14. That's almost a traveling doctor's office. That's what our ambulance looks like in the rear now. It's a lot more room for our employees to work. It's room for our patients to be properly cared for. It's a place where we hopefully will help them be as comfortable as possible to ride on these new ambulances. The average life of an ambulance from the front line should be 3 years. We came in 2011, we were looking at ambulances from 2002, 2003. The workhorse of the department was ambulances from 2006. We don't have that problem anymore. The oldest our ambulances are on the street right now is approximately 2 years. If you look at page 19, This is one of our, what I think to be one of our crowning achievements, and that is our ability to hire folks from Washington, D.C. and give them an opportunity. The average firefighter in the course of their career is guaranteed to make a minimum of $1.2 million. I heard that. We take our young folks from the city, folks who have said they have no hope, folks who have said they have no future, no expectation of being able to do well, and give them an opportunity. That first group in blue are the kids graduating on that Friday. The 2 rows behind them are the young folks who will be hired a week after that. So we're focusing as much as we can on the city. Now I'll tell you, a lot of the challenges that I faced are part of a clash of culture. I don't want this department to be mired in what some folks consider the status quo. We've tried to change the work schedule. We've changed uniforms from shorts, t-shirts, and tennis shoes to a professional outfit. We no longer don't look at our fleet. We focus on purchasing the infrastructure to make the department better. The hardest thing to change in an environment like that is the mindset. Quite frankly, we have been working at it, and we will continue to work at it. And I've done this job for 32 years and have never once been accused or failed to act when the call went out. So it's something that I don't understand. It's something I don't plan to get used to, and it's something that won't be tolerated. You know, our commitment is still to this city. We want folks to feel safe. And when things like what happened, people may not feel as safe. But let me assure you, this will be resolved. I want you to continue to feel safe here in the city. So thank you for giving us an opportunity to speak before you. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any firefighters working as law enforcement officers or patrolling the streets in our ANC district?
We have fire investigators who have law enforcement training and who are armed, but they patrol the entire city.
But they're not
And
doing crime prevention?
they have law enforcement powers. Generally, they don't do crime prevention unless it's an arson or a crime such as that. But our members do have, again, a responsibility to this community. If they can't do anything else more than provide eyes and ears and be a deterrent to activity that we consider to be antisocial, we expect them to try to do that. Any other questions? I can tell you this has been the toughest ANC presentation I've ever done.
Well, sorry that it ended up being a tough one for you. I actually have one quick comment for you, and I'm going to ask for your cooperation so that we in turn can cooperate with you. You're, I'm sure, aware that Edge Company number 16 needs to be renovated. Their building needs to be renovated. And there is a proposal to have swing space for them on Rhode Island Avenue and 10th Street Northwest. I've been meeting with DGS about that project. I think it's going to be something that we can accommodate, but I am going to need your cooperation because we're going to have some folks that are living right across the street that have concerns about, the engines blaring with their sirens pulling out there from 10 p.m. to 6 o'clock in the morning. So, go ahead.
I don't mean to be curt, but this is an issue that we face all over the city. I want to be as frank as possible to those people that live across the street. When that fire truck pulls out, if a person is not paying attention and we're not using our sirens and our lights, and they run into the fire truck, believe it or not, we bear some responsibility, culpability, and we can be sued. And that's something that we have to be cognizant of. This is a litigious city if it's nothing else. And vehicles in traffic, Title 18, I think it's Section 700, requires emergency vehicles when responding to use visual devices and audible devices which can be heard at a distance of, I think, a minimum of 500 feet. And I'm sure that house across the street is probably less than 500 feet away. And I hate it. These are some things that we try to balance in terms of community. When you put a fire station in a community, it's difficult on one end because of the noise and the activity, and this is a 24-hour operation, coming and going, and even the air brakes make noise. So we'll try, but I cannot, in this public forum or anywhere else, tell them not to use a device that is required by law. We have a 123 decibel siren that is manufactured, is sealed at the factory. We can't open it up and reduce the level of noise that comes out of it. And that's just the way it is, unfortunately. We'll try, but schools and hospitals are the only buildings in the city by law that get a break from the siren. Does that make you less willing to allow us to live in your space for a little while?
I fear that some of the constituents that would be impacted potentially, may ask us to object and to, but we'll continue to work with DGS, and we'll look forward to seeing a presentation from the team next month.
Well, we appreciate being allowed to be in the community, and we'll try to work with you as best we can. Okay?
Right. Thank you very much, Chief. Moving on, it's Black History Month. And we have the home of the father of African-American history, Dr. Carnegie Woodson's home and offices at 1538 9th Street Northwest, and which is in the process of being prepared for visitation by the public. We have Dr. Joy Kennard here, who manages the site as well as the Mary McLeod Bethune Council House just off of London Circle, to update us on the progress on the development of the National Historic Site.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I am Dr. Kennard, born and raised in Washington, graduated from Dunbar High School, also went to Howard University, and I'm happy to have this position. It is quite a task getting Dr. Woodson's home restored. And I want to first thank you all for being so diligent in helping the home early in April to win $75,000 from American Express. So I want to give you all a hand right now, and thank you to the commissioners for